The station told me that we don't like no dead air. You can't just you gotta have you want to have something going on the radio. Okay. Now I done forgot what I was saying. Uh, oh yes. So when I was thinking over what they said about black holes, that nothing could escape them, you know, that shows you that, some of the things that they put on TV is just don't make no sense. I mean, Star Trek, when Spock traveled through him and the Klingon, not the Klingon, the Romulan, in Star Trek, that movie, both of them went through a black hole, and that didn't make no sense to me. So that was a kind of poorly written thing there. I enjoyed the movie, but that part didn't make no sense. Anyway, as I was thinking about black holes, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he gave me a piece of the puzzle when he said the space, back in his Theology of Time lecture. He said that even the space that looks like nothing, he said, that's moving. And it's just like to create space. He said, how could there have been space? You see, the universe didn't start off like they tried to suggest, empty. The universe didn't start off empty. The universe started off dense, and it has been dense, and so we, one of the ways you notice when water going out of a tub and it starts spinning, it creates a hole in the middle of a little hole in the middle of the water. You see, as it's spinning, you notice all the planets are turning. That created a space between material. That's why everything is turning. That's one of the reasons why everything is turning. That's not the only reason. But as I listened to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, now I'm giving you I remember the messenger said, he said, I was not there when this happened. He said, I don't have any teacher to teach me that they was there. I didn't have anyone to teach me but Master Farad Muhammad how these things came about. And so we tell you the reasonable thing. And so it is reasonable, like in mathematics. Now I don't know how to do calculus. I don't even know algebra. I've had a little bit of algebra 1. Geometry, trigonometry, none of that. I don't know how to do that. I got brothers and sisters that could run circles around me doing that stuff. But the principle behind it, I do understand. That is the lesson in solving for the unknown. You look at what is known to solve for the unknown. And that is what you are actually doing when you do algebra. It's a process of elimination. And so I was thinking over how the universe could not have started with nothing, because that's what would be here now if there was nothing here to begin with. Unless you can show me how you can bring something out of nothing. Because then we have to change the whole mathematical concept. Even in the scientific community, they teach you, that you got to go a long way to get to absolute zero. And even if they call absolute 0 degrees, that is more a concept than it is a fact. Because the thing that they are measuring the degrees with has electrons in it. And if it has electrons in it, it has heat in it. So, you know, how do you get to 0 degrees unless you remove all matter? And in order to remove all matter, you got to remove yourself. if you understand what I'm saying. So while you in there measuring your so-called 0 degrees, you creating heat yourself. so it's much to be understood. So you can't just tell me anything. You tell people anything when you know that you haven't taught them much. But once a person really becomes a thinker, you have to be careful how you talk to them if you want to keep their respect. So the messenger showed me by saying that the space that looks like nothing, he said even that is moving. And so if since that is the case, I thought about what black holes are, and there are lots of them all over the universe. That's what the scientists say. And that is one of the things that the originator brought into being to make room. That black hole, what you call a black hole, is like the pores in your skin. And there little holes in your skin. You notice if you look at your skin under a powerful enough microscope, you'll see there's holes all through us. And so he was saying that the space itself is moving. Well, that explains the black hole as far as I'm concerned, because it's so dense that it compresses matter until the electrons and everything in it becomes pure energy. And that's why you don't see nothing come out of it, is because it converts matter to pure energy. Remember, you cannot, for instance, you take coal. Now this is what they taught us, that what a diamond is compressed carbon that have been under so much pressure that it changed it crystallized, and that it changes its molecular structure. You cannot make a grain of sand, just one grain of sand, you can't make it into nothing. You can keep cutting it and cutting it and cutting it, or keep pressing it and pressing it and pressing it until it seemed to disappear, but it's still there. It's just not there in that form that you crushed. Do you understand? Well, likewise, if you keep on pressing matter, if you got something powerful enough to press matter, to like they taught me in junior high school, Mr. Jesse, I ain't never forgot Mr. Jesse. Mr. Jesse said that, because it intrigued me. He said there are some stars that the material in it is so dense, is so compressed, that 1 cubic inch weighs tons. And I was trying to wrap my mind around how can something that's so be a cubic inch, an inch by an inch by an inch. How can something that small weigh a ton? Not only 1 ton, but tons. A ton is 2,000 pounds. And so, he had my attention on that. And now just think, if you can compress so much material together that it could weigh tons, kind of like them cotton compresses. My daddy used to work on the compress when I was first born. I was told my daddy worked on the compress, and that's where they take cotton and put it into bales that weigh 500 pounds. You don't think of cotton as being real heavy, but they put so much of it and compressed it so much that a bale of it weighs over 500 pounds. Huh? That's something, huh? Likewise. Now just think, if you could had something that's so powerful that you could compress enough material together that it could be reduced to a cubic inch. What if you had something to compress it to even smaller and smaller and smaller until its molecular structure changed? So that's what I'm thinking about space. We created what we call space, that actually ain't space. It's a form of energy. I think scientists call it now dark matter. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us about dark matter a long time ago. It just wasn't passed around in the nation. The theology of time, they didn't share that with us. The messenger shared it at a series of lectures he was giving, and he even said that you notice it's been quite some time since I got up on the rostrum to teach. He said, because I'm forbidden to do so until the proper hour. And he knew what he was leaving here, which I'm going to connect the dots for you in a minute. But pure energy is what gives us what you call weightlessness of space. That you don't what you would call feel any gravity in space, and it is where matter is changed. Like, how it's kind of hard to conceive if you didn't think about some of the things that we notice here. How does a caterpillar become a butterfly? That is a miracle thing. That's a miraculous thing. That's something they call it metamorphosis. But it becomes a completely new creature. Coal becomes a diamond. And when you think about all of the things that change forms, and we were told, we were taught. That's why you had to pay attention in this world. Remember, Jesus said, if I've told you earthly things and you have not believed, how shall you believe if I tell you heavenly things? You heard how stupid Geno Jennings sounded when I asked who created matter. I knew the answer that I was asking. It's just like a lawyer going in court. I learned this from the lawyers that I had been around. Some of my brothers that were lawyers at that time. And brother, you remember Ahmed? I used to talk to him. He said, a good lawyer don't go in court on no fishing expedition. A good lawyer does not ask questions that he don't know the answers to. Do you understand? Because he's what? He didn't have to go through all of that with me. I'm not a person that you have to walk to the end of a conversation. Once you give me a little hint, I'm good with it. I can put the thing together once you give me the material. It's like the messenger said, Master Farad Muhammad, he said he never would just come out and just say something, tell him something. He always had to dig for the meaning. Well, that is what the philosophy, I think, of Zen is that when you saw Circle of Iron, remember in Circle of Iron, where the student was being taught the lesson of the monkey, and instead of just being quiet, he thought he needed to always have something to say after his teacher had said something to him and taught him something. He said, so you didn't let him encircle you. He said, and the teacher just nodded, and he said, he said, beware the monkey. He plays the fool, and while you laugh at his antics, he bites you from behind. And then the student said, I will study him real close, and I will do. And he said, yes, you already imitate their chatter. And then he told him, he said, this lesson has no meaning. I don't have no reason to fight monkeys. And he said, and he went to grab before he turned his back to grab his stuff. The teacher told him, he said, one is taught in accord with one's fitness to learn. And when he went to grab his bag and looked around again, his teacher was gone. And he said, I will cut my tongue out. I will say, that was the story of Moses traveling in search of knowledge. And he always questioned before he understood a thing. He was always making judgments before he understood the reasons for something being done. And so likewise, in this where the brother told me that no good lawyer asks a question, what do people go in court to do? The district attorney goes in court to build a case against the person who is charged. To build that case where? In the mind of the jury. Do you understand? The defense goes in there to build a case of innocence, to create doubts about evidence or so-called evidence that's brought against their client. You understand? But it's all in the mind. They are building, one is trying to build a solid wall of evidence against the client. That's the prosecution. The defense is trying to punch holes to show that wall is not solid. Do you understand? And so it's just like I'm a builder, I don't pick up a board and don't know where I'm finna put it. When I pick up a board and start cutting it and going on, I know exactly what I'm finna do with it. Do you understand? You don't buy studs and don't know where you're gonna put them. You understand? When that stuff get delivered out there, you'll see the builder. He'll go and start grabbing the studs, laying out the plates, and he start connecting these things. And he knows exactly where he gonna put that wall when he raise it up. Do you understand? So likewise, this is what the teachers. Another carpenter, he knows basically what you're going to do when you pick this thing up, when you pick up some material. He can look at you and tell, and if he's a carpenter, he knows where you hit it with this. Do you understand? A lot of times, lawyers in court, they don't necessarily object because there is no they don't object because they don't know where you headed. They object because they do know where you headed, and they trying to slow you down. Do you understand? That's why the judge, he has to sustain the objection or overrule it. Because good lawyers, they try to represent their clients. In the district attorney's case, it's the state. He represents the people. And the attorney represents his client, and so he tries to object whenever he can to, if nothing else, hopefully make the man lose sight, or make the people who listening lose sight of the evidence. Do you understand? So it's not really what you think. People. It is truly a criminal justice system. But anyway, I'm going to. Well, it couldn't be other than a criminal justice system, since there ain't nobody righteous. The scripture says there's none righteous. No, not one. You see, that's why this world is called a shadow of the world to come. A shadow is a dark silhouette, sometimes distorted, and sometimes it's pretty accurate in its silhouette. Do you understand? So democracy is in its pure form. It is a good example of what the world, the hereafter, will be. It is a pretty good example. For the scripture says, God shall be all and in all. So, in that sense, that George Washington, he warned his people. He said, because of the form of government that we have, he said that we have. I'm speaking of him. He said that it should be of the primary importance to set up institutions for the diffusion of knowledge, so that, since the public is the one to elect the government, then the public should be enlightened. Do you understand? And if you enlighten everybody, then that's the greatest protection you can put on your civilization. So that people like Donald Trump, people that have hidden agendas and whatnot, can't fool them. You understand? And then your civilization would last. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make and keep you free. Do you understand? Okay. So now, so that, pure energy, that is something to think over. Everything falls back to the atom. You see, pure energy. So, the material, this matter all around us, it's just steadily being used and reused and reused and reused and reused. And it loses nothing but the form that you put it in. It's just like when you understand that God is an acronym for grantor of dominion. It does away with the foolishness that people like Geno Jennings was teaching. That God is something that's not man. He's a fool. you know. And when you ask him to explain God, well, you don't explain God. He just is. Yeah, well, who is he? See, that's a fool standing up trying to pretend to be wise. Because if you don't, as Jesus said, we know what we worship. You worship that which you know not what. Huh? To say that you don't believe God is man or God can be seen, then you are calling the scriptures a lie. The scripture said, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Look what I'm doing. I'm doing something that I just told you that the universe does. It turns matter into energy. Your body does that. Your body takes sugar and turns it into energy for you to move. Your car turns gasoline into energy for it to move by making, it makes it explode. Every time when you hear that motor running, you hear an explosions taking place. You just don't hear it because of the manifold of explosions. It's happening so fast that it just sounds like a low hum. But it's a lot of explosions going on in your engine, turning that material into energy. Do you understand? And so, likewise, is it such a hard thing to understand why we can surmise that the universe turns matter into energy? Huh? Is that so hard to accept? Will you tell me how space was created then? You didn't even know space was created. I mean, you walk in a forest. It's just like right now. We live in some place where space was created by cutting down trees. Huh? You see them do it all of the time. They go in, land is all grown up and trees and everything on it. You see them out there clearing it. Doing what? Making space. Is that right? Yeah, all praises due to Allah. So, matter is steadily being put in different forms. You notice I read to you from Isaiah, the 10th verse of the 43rd chapter. I think I went over this with y'all yesterday, didn't I? Where it says, you are my witnesses, saith the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, that you may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Why is that? His servant that I have chosen. I'm his servant that he has chosen. I'm also him. Why? Because he said that he's whosoever overcometh. Let me read it to you. I don't like to paraphrase that kind of thing because that's a pretty big boast I just made there. So I better let you see where I got it from. This is in the book of Revelation, the second chapter, I think. It says, or the third, I'll tell you in a minute. This is the 10th verse of the 3rd chapter of Revelation. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee. Now there's not a soul, but over it is what? Now aren't you and your mind is your keeper. You know that, right? When you tell somebody you better keep, you know how parents talk to their children, you better keep your little self over there in that chair. Huh? And a lot of times you say, you better keep your mouth shut while I'm talking. Is that right? Who are they talking to? Most people think they're talking to flesh, but they're not. They're talking to the mind that's keeping or in control of that flesh. Do you understand? So Allah said he was going to keep me. Well, how is he going to do that? He got to get inside of me. Is that right? And so that's what he promised, and that's what he has done. That's why he said to the messengers of God to bear witness. He said when he made a covenant through the prophets, and he said, certainly what I have given you, the parts of the book I have given you. Then a messenger will come to you, verifying that which I have given you, that which is with you. You shall believe in him, and you shall aid him. And he said, now do you affirm and accept my compact in this matter? Do you agree with me in this matter? And they said, yes, sir, we do affirm. He said, then bear witness. And then he said, and I too am of the bearers of witness with you. And that's his way of saying, I'm with you, son of man. His name shall be Emmanuel. Meaning what? God with us. Yes. And so it's written here in that 10th verse of the 43rd chapter of Isaiah. It says, ye are my witnesses, saith the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen. Notice, servant is singular. Witnesses are not. Do you understand? And so he said, that you may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Huh? I and my Father are one. And then it says, before me there was no grantor of dominion formed. Now, who is the original man? The original man is the first grantor of dominion. And there was no one formed before us. That's why we were without father, without mother, without beginning of days, without ending of days. Huh? You see, it all goes back to the original man. And so, you notice, I'm standing up here teaching things and putting thoughts in your head that you never had before I stood up here and spoke to you. And I'm not talking about thoughts of foolishness. I'm showing you that you didn't, the white man could only take us so far. He has taken us as far as he can. That's what that song was about that Michael McDonald and Kenny Loggins made. He said, I don't know what's left to provide. In so many words. What more to provide? He don't have no other knowledge to provide us with. Do you understand? So, let them believe. Let them believe what? Let them believe in the Son of Man or be left behind. Huh? The messenger said, you are in a day of learning. If you do not learn, you are left behind. You see? The Sabbath day is the day of learning. Learning what? Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Then you must learn the understanding of the Holy Scriptures. Who's going to teach you that? Come on. Farrakhan? Geno Jennings? If they're going to teach you that, they need to come in here and shut me down. Like I done shut them down. And if you don't believe I done shut them down, I challenge you to go and get them, and I'll give both of you $50,000 each. If he can come in here and prove that he's somebody that we supposed to be listening to. He ain't even got to prove that I'm not the Son of Man. If he can prove that he's somebody that we should be listening to, I will give you $50,000. Did the scripture say, listen to blind leaders? Or did it say, let them alone? Huh? If you were told to let something alone, do that mean go over there and follow? No. Jesus said, leave them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both will fall in the ditch together. Yes, what is it?
Did I understand you correctly to say that in that 10th verse, it's saying that the Lord is saying that I am the servant that I have chosen, and that's the word that took
Yes.
place in you, saying that it chose you to be the servant? Is that
It's just like the you don't choose, you don't make yourself God's representative. God makes his own representative. The truth is, like people was asking, why was Yaqub given the right to rule? Yaqub wasn't given the right to rule, he took the right to rule. There was no God, there was no grantor of dominion equal or greater than him. So they had no choice but to accept him. Just like you. You ain't got no choice but to accept me, because ain't none of y'all equal to me. White, black, brown, or yellow. These farms are nothing but temples. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God? The temple ain't talking to you. Son of man, eat it up so I can be in my temple. But the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. I'm on the internet, all over the earth. You hear anybody talking back? Put the Skype up there. I'll let them talk. And the only thing you'll find is who is he who rejects submission to me? But he who makes a fool of himself. It's no doubt that I'm the seed of Abraham. Every black man that is the descendant of black people in America here, every one of us is the seed of Abraham. So that's not even up for debate. We've been enslaved for 400 years. I was fashioned in the furnace of affliction. And now, Allah has reclaimed me. As the messenger said, I'll show you something here. No, I didn't always talk like you see me talking now. That's because I didn't always know what I know now. When you was a child, you didn't always speak like you speaking now. But when you became a man, that's when you started speaking like a man and no longer like that little child that was ignorant. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he knew that I didn't accept calling myself no God. He said, but you will grow to do that. He said, I know you will not agree with me, but you will grow to agree with me. That's what he told me. Now, I have grown to agree with him, and when you don't hear no white people, they've been the ruler. That's why I keep bringing them up. It ain't been out of no racism. It's because he has been the smartest one in the room. If he wasn't the smartest one, how did he get in charge of everybody? I didn't hear you. Everybody was fighting each other and not getting along, and he was going along fine, ruling and taking charge of the earth. Now he can't get along fine. The only ones who going to do fine now is the ones who submit to me. And if you won't submit to me, ain't none of you going to be fine. You going to be gone. And if that ain't so, I owe you $50,000. Then I say, if you find me lying or telling you other than the truth, you get yourself $50,000 if you can prove I'm not telling the truth. I told you was going to learn to be scared of me. Look at you. I say whatever I want about people now. They don't come in here and say nothing to me. It's not because I'm a bully. Because you can argue with me. I invite argument. I told you I'm not going to accept your insults any longer. You can keep your insults to yourself. A judge lets you come in his courtroom. In this world, you can go in the courtroom, and as long as you conduct yourself in the proper etiquette for that courtroom, you can argue your case. But when you decide that you're going to start insulting the judge and being in contempt of court, because the judge is the court. That's why you don't pay attention. May it please the court, Your Honor. That's the way judges are spoken to by attorneys. Before he gets started, he said, may it please the court. Meaning what? May my presentation please the court. May it please the judge. And he let me go on and continue to put it on. Because if you say something that does not please the court, he's going to stop you. Do you understand? Now you understand why they say that? None will be allowed to speak that day but him whom the judge permits, and he speaks aright. This world is a shadow of the world to come. You know, when you turn your back on the truth, it's like turning your back on the sun. Your shadow is in front of you. When you're walking away from the light, your shadow is ahead of you. I didn't hear you. See? They walked away from the word. They guide you away. He take you out of light into darkness. You fall in the shadow. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I don't fear no evil. For God is with me. So, I walk around in the midst of people that I have shown them that I love them, and they hate me. They don't wish me well. But that's okay. Because they didn't put me here. Allah put me here, and He wishes me well. So, you see how quick I put that flow down after I took that one up? Take one down and put another up. And I did that faster than I did to put the first one down. That's because Allah is with me. So now, I want to show you some things. Where Jesus, in the book of John, in the 3rd chapter of John, see, if you don't know how to rightly divide the scriptures, then you would never understand them. That's why Allah, He he told me to study. You see, and my mother made me go to vacation Bible school and everything. That was something that I didn't like. I told y'all that. I ain't never wanted to be no preacher. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted to be a preacher. I didn't. See, I'm not trying to make you think that all my life I was dead. I was mentally and spiritually dead. And if Elijah had not been sent to raise me, I'd still be dead. So this is the 3rd chapter, and you're going to have to keep up, because it's so much here. Let me get this other book, my 666 folder here. Now you remember, the scripture said that there's wisdom in that man whose number is 666. Solomon said, get wisdom, for that is the principal thing. And with all thy getting of wisdom, understanding is the byproduct. But he didn't say it like that. He said, and with all thy getting, get understanding. He didn't say get an understanding. Get milk. And with all thy getting, get butter, cheese, whey, cream. But milk is the principal thing. I didn't hear you. Is that right? Because if you don't get milk, you ain't gonna get the rest of that stuff. So the principal thing is milk. The Temptations had a song say, to get butter from milk, you got to churn it. Yeah, you got to churn it.